Welcome back to the channel, guys. Brad McKinnon here. Today we are looking at the Slayer corner kit by Tape Pro Tools, and we're just going to open it here. This is a kit you can buy. Comes with everything you see here except what I'm holding there, which is the corner finisher. These are just an extra that I've purchased because I believe they're the superior corner finisher tool. So that's the 65mm corner finisher, but everything else comes with it there. The roller, the corner roller, and I like just to put those in a bucket of water when I'm using them, along with the compound tube and then the internal applicator head. So today we're going to be taping internal corners, and what I like to do is just sort of prime the compound tube with a bit of water. Just get it all slick inside, suck a bit of water in, sort of wash it around, and then sort of spit it out again. We want all that water out before we suck up some plaster. So you can see there I've got tape lying around. We're going to do a room here. It's probably around 6 meters by 4 meters. First thing we do is fill up the compound tube just by pulling the rod out of the tube with the nozzle in the bucket of plaster. You're just sucking up the plaster there. I've already pre-mixed the plaster. You want it quite runny, quite wet. Makes it a bit easier, but it's a fine line between too runny and too thick, so you just want to, takes a bit of practice getting that right. Then we just want to tap the rod on the ground just to get any air bubbles out, as you saw me doing there. And once that air bubbles out, you can fill it up again. And we'll just attach the applicator head there to the nozzle. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with our top internals, and I like to do sort of opposites at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're going to run along the internals. So using my left hand there, I'm sort of pulling on the tube, and my right hand is pushing the rod and forcing the plaster out into the internal corners. So we want to, so one hand sort of pulling, one hand sort of pushing all the time while you're keeping that tube and applicator head up in the internal corner and running it along the internal there. And I'm just going to fold the paper tape. As I said, I've pre-cut all these ready to go, and I like to pre-cut them and just make them probably 5mm shorter than what they need to be, because as you roll the tape in, it sort of stretches a little bit. And we're just going to force that tape into the mud, into the plaster. And this ceiling here was a little bit lower than 8 foot, so I could reach off the floor, which made life a lot easier. If you can't reach it, you have to use a scaffold or stilts or something. But so once that tape's in, we're going to use our corner roller, and we're always going to start in the middle of the room and just lightly press that tape into the plaster and come back to the middle. Just a light press, and then back to the center again, always moving away from the center because that tape's going to stretch. And again, we're just going to apply a bit more pressure on our second run just to get that tape embedded into the plaster. Again, start in the middle, just a real light run on that first one, and then you can force it in a bit harder on that second run, always from the center outwards. So once that tape's in, we're going to get our corner finisher, and we're going to run over that. Now this is where you find out whether you've got enough plaster on or not. When it's perfect, that corner finisher should just run over that without any plaster falling down, and it should just smooth that plaster out over the tape beautifully with those nice fine edges. Now if you've got too much plaster on, it'll start falling down everywhere, and you won't get those nice fine edges. If you've got not enough plaster on, you'll find it won't be filling over the tape. You'll have sort of hollows and gaps. So that all comes back to using the compound tube. So if you don't have enough plaster on, you just want to move a bit slower along the wall, and that will allow more plaster to go on the wall. If you've got too much plaster on, that means you're moving too slow along the wall, so you want to move a bit faster, so there's less plaster on the wall. So it's a very fine line, takes a lot of practice, I've found. But once you get that right, you can come along with your tool and just clean up. Now I always don't go right into the corner with the corner finisher, because it'll sort of pull the tape out, so you want to stay about 20 mils away from the corner. Now this, what I'm doing here, is you don't have to do this if it's pretty perfect. You don't need to clean off the edges. I just like to do this sometimes just to make things a bit easier for the next day. Sometimes it's a little bit thick, and just cleaning off that edge will just allow the drying to speed up, which will allow me to do my next coat the next day. So especially if it's the middle of winter. If it's the middle of the summer, you could just get away with leaving that if it's perfect as is, and that'll dry in time for the next day. But again, just pushing that tape into the corners where you've had to keep your corner finish away, and then just tidying up. I like to do this anyway, just makes life a lot easier for when you do your next coat the next day. So here we go. Now we're going to do the other opposites. And so coming into the internal there, you just want to take the pressure off, so you're not pulling off that tape you've just put in. Again, starting off, just coming along and taking the pressure off right in the corner. Just, you don't want to be pulling out tapes you've just put in. And once again, just embed the tape in by hand. All pre-cut already, ready to go. Makes life a lot easier. And this is sort of my way of doing things, just doing the opposites on either side of the room. And what I'll normally do is I'll go around and do the whole house like that, and then I'll come back to the start again and do the upright internals. But because I'm just showing you this room here, we're just going to do this one room. Again, using the corner roller, just starting from the center and pushing the tape away from the center so you don't get any creases. If you start rolling from the outside, you're sort of going to end up with a crease in the center. We don't want that. Same with the corner finisher, always start in the center and work your way out, and then with your final pass you can come right round on the end. So you can see there, starting at the center and then coming right through, and again staying away from the right into the internals there. I don't want to be dragging or pulling tape out. These corner finishers have a blade on them. If you are using the corner glazes which come with the kit, you can actually go right into the corner there without the tape pulling. Those glazes don't have any blades on them, which is quite useful for that process. So we're just going to tidy up the edges again. And as we're going to just tidy up the three-way there. So the Slayer corner kit comes with a 55mm and 75mm straight glazer, but like I said in the start there, I've upgraded to the corner finisher just because I feel it's a better tool. So we're going to fill up the compound tube. I like to take the applicator head off and just have it on a bit of plasterboard there, and then just suck up that plaster, pulling the rod up, and you don't want any air bubbles getting into there, so you keep that nozzle in the plaster all times, and then just tapping on the ground, getting any air bubbles out if there are some. Clip on the applicator head and you're away. So we're going to do our uprights now. Again, I've got my paper all cut, and I always start from the bottom and work my way up. And again, you want to pull the tube with your left hand, push the rod with your right hand, and I find it's easier going from the ground up. And once you get to the top, you just want to take that pressure off. Just, you don't want to be pulling tape out, just put in again. And it's all about practice, getting that right amount of plaster on the wall. I like to just dip that in the water just so it's not drying out. Depending on where you're working and the weather conditions, it can dry out quite easily in the heat. So I'm going to put the tape in, push it right up to the top, just get that nice and tight up to the three-way. And I can normally get about 6 uprights at 8-foot stud out of one fill of mud in the compound tube. So I've only got 4 here, so that was more than enough. Again, keeping these in the corner roller and the corner finisher in the bucket of water, it just stops any mud from drying out on your tools. Keeps them nice and slick when you're pressing that tape in. Again, same thing, start from the middle, work your way down, real light press, back up, and then that final press just gives it a bit of pressure. Start from the middle, just a nice and light just to get that tape in, and then a bit of pressure pushing that tape in the final pass there. And we'll hit it with the corner finisher. You can see me turning that there. It's the blades are at one end, so we've got to turn that so the blades, they're at the top now, working my way down. So I always like to start at the bottom for the uprights. Again, I like to just press nice and light for the first pass, just to see how it is. If you need a bit more pressure on the second pass, nice and light, a bit more on that second one, and then again nice and light. Bit more, you'll get, depending on how much plaster is on there, you'll sort of soon figure it out. But it's always good just to start light. If you need a bit more, do that on the second pass. Yeah. So you see here, we'll just tidy these edges up. So with the gain, just got to press that tape in at the bottom where you couldn't get it with the corner finisher tool. And again, the tops, just got to press that tape in at the top. To stay away from the tops there with the corner finisher, just so it's not pulling the tape out or pulling the top tapes out. And I always find it's a good time just to go over the tops of the three ways there. It's given those top internals a bit of time to sort of harden up, so I can go over them and just tidy them up a bit more, a bit easier. Sometimes it's easier using your 6-inch knife just to tidy up the 3-ways. That's pretty much how we use the Slayer corner kit, or any semi-automatic corner taping tools. Again, this one's by Tape Pro Tools. If you're keen to purchase some of these, you'll find it all on their website. So, hope you enjoyed this one, guys. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you're not subscribed already, please do so. Really helps with getting my videos out there. And if you're keen for a bit more, stick around. There'll be lots more videos coming this way. Cheers, thank you.